Longtime Donald Trump lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen testified before the House Oversight Committee without mincing words about the former boss. Cohen called Trump a racist, a con man, and a cheat. He provided new details into the payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Democrats were looking to learn more about Trump and any possible connection to Russia, while Republicans were quick to point out that despite his testimony today, Cohen is set to go to jail for campaign finance violations, tax evasions, and lying to Congress. So for the 360 view, we turn to our political panel, former Georgia State Representative D. Hawkins-Haigler and Ned Ryun, CEO of American Majority. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Dee, this was much anticipated. All eyes are on this hearing. Cohen reportedly had proof of him having received illegal payments from the president. He brought a check signed by President Donald Trump with no indication of what it's even for.
Well, you know what? In this type of situation, you're not going to write on the check that it's for a cover-up of the Stormy Daniels issues. But let me tell you something. He did have receipts, and so we know that it was for something probably illegal because he works for Trump. And as he said, Trump is a racist, and a con man and a cheat. So what do you expect?
Ned, a top Democrat, Dianne Feinstein, who was a member, she was chair of the Senate Intel Committee. She said she's not watching. She's doing other things. Is this really a waste of time? I mean, what are we doing here when a top Democrat leader says she's not even watching?
Well, I wasn't even sure what I was watching today. To say that it was political theater is such an understatement. I think it's more along the lines of theater of the absurd. You have somebody that's a known and convicted liar, again, as you mentioned, going to jail in about 2 months for lying to Congress. And now they put him in front of the committee and ask us to believe anything that he says. In fact, you hear some of the things he said. In fact, when Representative Massey out of Kentucky was taking him down the line of questioning about the whole WikiLeaks conversation with Roger Stone, Cohen said, well, I think that conversation was the end of July. Well, we know that it was in the beginning of June that Assange actually released some of this stuff. So again, I have a hard time believing that much of what Cohen said today had anything to do with the truth. In fact, I think he probably perjured himself again when he said, I didn't want a position in the White House, when in fact, according to multiple sources, he was actually lobbying for it. In fact, CNN called him out on lying on that very issue. So if CNN's calling you out, it wasn't a very good day for Michael Cohen. And, the last thing I'll say is this. When Debbie Wasserman Schultz was asking him, can anybody corroborate what you're saying, Michael Cohen said no. So again, all we had was a known liar sitting in front of Congress lying again with no corroborating witnesses.
Dee, the top Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein said she thinks he's not credible. Does that say something, speak to you?
Well, we knew that he wasn't really credible in the beginning because he worked with the president. But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily lying about the situations that happened. And I'm hearing people say that he's a liar. Well, of course he's a liar. Liars hang together. The president's a liar. His attorney's a liar. They're all liars. And so what do? They lie. What's clear is that the president has done something he shouldn't have done. He slept with Stormy Daniels when his wife was pregnant. He tried to cover her up by writing a check. He's exposed. He should have told the truth. We've seen this playbook before. And when it happened before, the Republicans took Clinton down the rabbit hole. And so now Trump is just getting a taste of what the Republicans have done in the past. So I'm sorry. I mean, he did what he did. He needs to own up to it. You did what you did. You're trying to cover it up. And your attorney, who covered you for 10 years, check this out, not 1 year, not 2 years, he was your attorney for 10 years, which means Trump had a lot of trust in Cohen. He put a lot of faith in him, and he expected him to always protect him. Cohen did, and look where he's going, to jail with the rest of all the people who was fooling around with President Trump.
Well, and he did say that if he doesn't want a pardon from President Trump, he will not accept a pardon from President Trump. Do you think President Trump was even thinking about pardoning him?
No, Trump thinks he's a rat right now. He's a snitch. I mean, he's not gonna. I mean, this is like a mob mentality right now. He's a snitch. So why would he have to snitch out?
Ned, Mr. Trump is in Vietnam. Do you think that this hearing has any coincides with the timing of President Trump traveling to Vietnam and meeting with North Korean leader?
Of course it does. In fact, I think this whole thing was staged not only in the timing, but off Cohen's hearing, off his testimony, it looks like he was actually working with the Democrats on preparing his testimony. The whole thing was timed right on this day, I think, to take away from a very important conversation that President Trump is having with North Korea about denuclearization. I mean, this is a critical juncture that we're at with this country to remove this existential threat, and Democrats just want to play partisan games. I think when this is all said and done, it's going to be a lot of much ado about nothing. Michael Cohen's going to jail. I really saw this as him attempting to somehow get his 3-year sentence reduced. I don't think that's probably going to happen. And at the end of the day, we'll move on, and Democrats are going to, again, be grasping at straws. The point I want to make is this. This is trying to punish Donald Trump for winning the 2016 election that he shouldn't have won. And it is also revenge for the Clintons, for what they actually did to Bill Clinton. You think it's a chance that Lanny Davis is his lawyer sitting right behind him? I see the Clintons' fingerprints all over this.
Well, this is certainly a timely matter, but I do want to take a listen to what the Republicans had to say today before Congress.
And instead we get 30 minutes from a guy who's going to prison in 2 months for lying to Congress.
You're a pathological liar. You don't know truth from falsehood.
Sir, I'm sorry. Are you referring to me or the president?
Hey, this is my time.
Are you referring to me, sir, or the president?
When I ask you a question,
yeah,
I'll ask for an answer.
Sure.
My colleagues on the other side of the aisle claim that they want the truth, that they want transparency and fair oversight, yet the Democrats' witness to testify before Congress today is none other than a scorned man who's going to prison for lying to Congress. Let that sink in. He's going to prison for lying to Congress, and he's the star witness to Congress.
We have about a minute left, but I want a reaction out of both of you. Dee, go ahead.
I just think the irony in all of this is the president lies all of the time. We can't even keep up with the amount of lies that he tells on a daily basis. And so one thing I will say is that at least he got to Vietnam. Even though he dodged the draft and didn't go, at least he showed up for this.
Ned, quickly, go ahead.
At least he's in Vietnam, unlike Dick Blumenthal. But I'll say this. Again, this is a deeply uncredible witness, and it is telling that the very first witness out of the gate is Michael Cohen. If this is the best that they have, I would again argue all they're going to do is try and punish Donald Trump through the process. That's the extent of it, because there's no there there. There's no collusion. There's nothing there that they can actually move on.
I mean,
so, again, we're going to move on, and we'll be talking about other things in a few weeks.
The mainstream media sure has its side just on this, while Trump is trying to get work done in Vietnam. Well, thank you so much for joining me, former Georgia State Representative Dee Hawkins-Haigler and Ned Ryun, CEO of American Majority.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.